somebody called me up and said, I have to go meet a survivor of the Holocaust that has an unbelievable story. She is now the matriarch of a beautiful family. Children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, all reeeeeaaallllyyy. The first part of her story is extremely sad, how she suffered from 7 years old till about 11 and a half years old. It's hard to understand and it's hard to hear how somebody can go through that. And after the war, her father came back. He unfortunately lost his wife and his daughter, and he had his sons and this girl, and he came to pick her up after being away for so long from her. He was a very chashuv rav, a belzadayan, a big Talmud Chacham, a big tzaddik. And now he picked her up, and imagine his heartache and his pain that she was not at all interested in having anything to do with Yiddishkeit. And listen to what he did and how hard it must have been for him. Listen to her story. The first few minutes is very difficult about her survival, how she went through the war years, but then afterwards, how she was not interested at all, and had her father rejected her, we would have lost a beautiful family in Klal Yisrael. But listen what he did with tremendous seichel, with tremendous vision of a future, and how powerful the tool of parents who love their child, even when it's painful, how it turned her heart around and made her want to be frum and to raise a beautiful Jewish family. And as I always tell parents, you'll see at the end, this kid that you invest so much into and you believe in, even when it's so hard, I always say, they will take care of you. And she did. She wouldn't put him in a home. She wouldn't let anyone else take care of him, and he wanted to only be with her. It's a very painful and a very beautiful story with a tremendous lesson that we have to take away all these ideas. It's my house, it's my rules, guilt, pain, why are you doing this? What are you doing? How could you do this to me? You can't do it in my house. All of that fails. It's always failed. It's never worked. And listen to this beautiful story and take her message to heart, because she knows what it's like. She knows what saved her and what allowed her, instead of being lost forever, it allowed her to come back to her roots and the nachas that she has because of the wisdom of her father.
Because I don't know how long I'm going to be here.
Auf lange Juden. Auf lange gesinnte Juden.
But I figured I still know everything I wanted to be. My story, I was 7 years old when the Nazis came to us. And I was going through, I don't believe hell can be worse. I was hidden in a sewer. The rats were running around our feet in the sewer, and we survived. Then I was put in a place because they were calling it axis. Every time there was an axis, they swept the kids away. So the kids were a problem and the old people were a problem. So we were put into a place under a shul, and they bricked us up. They left one brick open to give us food. We didn't know when was day, when was night. We sat there a whole July. I was there with my brother. My brother was older than me. We were so hungry. We used to get, because they couldn't bring food, because they were not allowed to walk in the middle of the night. And they brought in the middle of the night a can of water and food. There was no toilets, there was nothing. So we were there, and we used to get a little bread and half a glass of water. This was for the day. And unfortunately, there was a lady who wanted to save her kid. She had an infant, and she was with us. We were like 30 people in this place. And the kidnapper cried, and the people made her kill the kid. And we were with a dead body in July in this place. I started going crazy. I said to my brother, I said, I will make noise. I want them to kill me. Let them kill me. I don't want to live. Enough. I was 7 years old. 7 years. I understood what was going on like you and me today. And my brother said, Rosa, don't make noise. I will give you my portion. Eat my portion too. But my brother didn't eat, and I ate his portion. At the end, they said the action is over, and everybody came to pick up. But they picked up the body, they picked up everything there. And my mother, and we were undressed. We were sitting only in underpants. There was everything, whatever. That was our life there. And my mother came to pick us up. She took one look at me and she passed out. Never. She looked at, I had worms in my body, living in my body. We must have looked terrible. And from this, we came home and my mother cleaned us up, and then they said, no, the axe is back. So we went to the sewer, and there we were in the sewer. We didn't even have a chance yet to eat. Can you imagine? And then we were in the sewer. In the sewer, they got us out. They took us out. And my brother finagled that
to hide them somewhere.
Yeah. I was by a goy for 3 years. I had a goite who hid me for 3 years. And she was very good to me. And she said that the war was going on. She said, don't worry, if nobody comes, I will give you ballet lessons. She was a very fancy lady. And I'll give you piano lessons, you're gonna be my kid. And then my father came and picked me up. My father was running, he was in Russia.
Let's say where you were the 3 years.
Yeah.
Let's say where you were the 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years she was under a bed every day and she only got out at night. They took her out to stretch her legs.
Yeah.
No, it's
the
important
host
to know.
is risk to life.
My goite was a seamstress. I mean, she was a designer, but she was, and she supported herself by doing, and they took away her apartment because they were very rich, fancy people. So she only had 1 bedroom, and I lived with them in 1 bedroom, and the army, a captain lived in her apartment.
The German captain.
Yeah. So she couldn't have me. So I was a whole day under a bed, and I had a doll, and I had books, and I lived under a bed. And at night, the guy went to the army. He was in the. He was a big guy. So we had the bathroom. This was my everyday.
For 3 years.
Yeah. That was my great childhood.
Okay.
But I had a hope that after the war, I'm gonna be a goy. Who wants to be a eat? What for this? what I went through, I want to be a Yid. And my father never came back and saw the broch. And I gave him so much aggravation because I wanted him to throw me out. And he wouldn't throw me out. Every day he was telling me stories from why was this, why was that kosher, and this, and why this. I figured, what is he telling me? I want to go to the movies. I was 12 years old. I'm going to live it up. I don't want to be a Yid. And he worked on me.
This is after the war?
After the war.
Where were you living?
I was in Lemberg, and then we went to Krakow, and then we were in Germany in Fürth.
After the war?
Yeah.
So, and he went back to being frum and going to shul?
He was frum. He didn't eat harvest all
time.
the time.
He was a guy.
Yeah, but he left to Russia with the boys. The boys couldn't be hidden. So he left to Russia with the boys, but he didn't eat anything. He was serious.
Yeah.
So what the GEDOLIM?
My father was a dying and was learning day and night.
What was his name?
Lichter, Joseph Lichter.
Lichter?
Lichter.
Lichter.
Yeah, the bells are dying in Lemberg.
Yeah.
The bells are dying in Lemberg.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's after the war, and he lost his
wife,
your mother.
and my sister. I lost a sister and I lost my mother.
And the boys were okay? The boys were back?
The boys went as Germans to the German part of Russia. They were warriors.
So they survived?
They survived. I had 3 brothers in Miami.
So he survived the war, picked you up, and now you were 11, 12,
Yeah.
13, and you're saying, I want to go to the movies, I'm not interested in this. For how many years?
And I just like something my mother always says when my grandfather came to pick her up. She's like, I'm not going with these people. She gave one look at them.
Oh, you wanted to stay with the seamstress?
Yeah, because
She
they
saw
were
the brothers
civilized.
and this Jewish man and these boys, and she was like,
They looked so funny to me. You know?
You didn't remember from before the war that everyone looked like
I
that?
did remember, but I didn't want it anymore.
So what won you over?
He treated me so nicely. He never gave me, a negative thing.
Gave you money?
Give me money. You want to go to the movies? Go to the movies. This is the end from this.
What's the result?
Mom, can you tell the story about Yom Kippur? Because he didn't hear it.
The first Yom Kippur that I had to fast. So my father we were in Krakow. So there was Minion, there was, it was after the war. And my father said, listen, jetzt bist du schon 12. Du darfst fasten. So, okay.
Now you're 12, you have to fast.
Yeah. Left me at home. He went to shul. And he was a whole day in shul. It was Yom Kippur. And he came home. And I was home. And he looked at me. I said, I ate a whole day. So what did you do a whole day? Did you daven? Did you say anything? He left me something in Polish. I didn't know any. So I went to school in Krakow, so I learned a little bit, but not much. There was a Jewish school after the war. So he says, wusstest du gehen den ganzen Tag? I went to the movies. I saw about my father's eyes tearing. He didn't say a word. I wanted to aggravate him.
Looking like a gentleman, but he was hurting.
Yeah. And he was so patient with me and so loving that I started having the feeling of a father. My father was a big Talmud Chochem, and he learned day and night. And what he spent time with me was really that he didn't have. But he put away all his patience and time for me. After this, I got married. And I told my husband, before I got married, listen, you marry me, but I have a father. Wherever I go, my tati goes. So he said, yeah, I will love your father. And he really loved him. He really loved him.
You went from Yom Kippur at the movies to getting married.
She found Zaidi, tall, handsome guy.
Yom Kippur at the movies I was
12. 12.
Oh, so slowly.
So when did it, and between then,
little by little.
so through his love, you decided that you want to have a from.
No, I really started having the same feeling. I was my father's favorite when I was a kid, because I was the youngest. And he really loved me. I was my father's pet. And then I started having the same love to him like it started being from before.
That's beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Wow.
So, and you did pretty well. Looks like you have a beautiful family over here.
I know.
My grandfather lived with my parents till he passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah, my father passed away, was nifter in my house. We didn't let him go anywhere.
You took care of him.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And my husband took care of him. My brothers came to take care of him. He said, no, this is where I want to be.
Beautiful. So we have now, unfortunately, after so many years, we have a lot of kids that are also not behaving the right way, and they're breaking Shabbos, and it's easier to do bad things these days. And what would be the message that you give to those parents?
I would tell them to be patient and to love their kids truthfully.
Truthfully?
Yeah.
But how do you love someone when they're breaking Shabbos?
It's your kids. I love my kids no matter what.
Even though you're in pain?
Yeah.
That they're not doing what you want?
Yeah.
And if they want to go to the movies?
Don't throw away your kids. You have to be very patient, and you have to really have self-control. It hurts, but you have to do it if you hope that you're going to convince them to be different.
One day, through influence, not by talking.
Not by talking, by showing them patience, love, and consideration.
After we finished the interview, she told me something, and it's a shame that it's not on camera, but she said that she had a relative here in America. And this relative was very chashuva people, a Rav and a Rebbetzin, and they had a daughter that went off the derech, and they rejected her. And that daughter ended up marrying a goy. And her future is lost to Klal Yisrael. And this Rebbetzin told her, and she told this to me, she said, after many years, I was wrong. I should have done what your father did. Let's not make that mistake. Let's not reject our children no matter what they're doing. It's temporary. We have the most powerful tool in the world. The power of love and acceptance. It's the most powerful tool, and it can change a person no matter what pain, tsar, no matter what trauma they went through, no matter how much they say, I don't want this, it can change their heart to embrace what we love and what we know is true and good. Only with ahava. The Stipler said that it says, Shlomo HaMelech wrote, Ki aza kamaves ahava, love is as strong as death. So the stipler asked, what does that mean, love is as strong as death? What does one thing have to do with the other? Love, death. Says the stipler Zatzal. Just like when it's time to die, there's nothing that could stop it, so too the power of ahava, the power of authentic love, is so powerful, nothing could stop it. And I want to add that because ki aza kamavas ahava, the only thing as strong as death, which is unstoppable, is love, which is unstoppable, then the only tool that we can have, even for children who never want to die, children who are suffering, who are suicidal, on drugs, the only tool that is as powerful as death is the power of love, because only love is as strong as death. She says you have to love them truthfully because they're your child. The child feels that and will feel and develop those feelings of love back towards you and want what you know is true and want to live a life of Torah. This whole family, so many children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, is only here because of the wisdom of her father and the lesson that we need to learn in our generation. Never throw away your child. Never reject them. Never say negative. Never say anything negative. Even when she went to the movies on Yom Kippur and she ate all day, as painful as it was for him, he could have said, this is what I survived for? Don't you remember? What are you doing? You're killing me. None of that changes the ratzain, the inner will of anyone. It's negativity. He had pain, but he didn't say anything. And he kept on taking of his precious time of learning Torah and giving it to her with patience, with love, with money, even for going to the movies, which in those days, it was a sign that I'm not interested. He didn't pressure her. He didn't guilt her. Let's learn these tools that we need. And one day, Be'ezus Hashem, your children will also be there for you and will say, all I have, everything that I have is only because of the wisdom of my parents who loved me with tremendous patience, even though it's painful. And they never said a negative word. And this is the same advice given in Meir Tzedek by Rav Pam Zatzal, by Rav Gershon Edelstein Zatzal, by Rav Steinman Zatzal, by Rav Chaim Kanievsky Zatzal, by the Satmar Rebbe Zatzal, by the Chazon Ish Zatzal. All of our GEDOLIM are telling us, no negativity. Only love can bring our children back. Physically, keeping them safe, Be'ezus Hashem, emotionally, mentally, psychologically, and spiritually.